Hello, and welcome back to Forever Spinning. My week of year-end lists is finally coming to a close as I'm about to go through my 50 favorite albums of 2024. I feel like there's virtually no reason for me to explain how this works. It is very self-explanatory, so let's just get right into the list. I have not decided how I am going to be presenting this yet, but here are some honorable mentions. Definitely check them out, they're all really cool projects, and if I had more time, I would be talking about each and every one of them, but I don't have that kind of time, and neither do you, so let's get into my top 50, starting off with This Is All We Ever Get by Spaced. It's some really fun hardcore that feels very influenced by Glow On by Turnstile, so if you're into that record, then odds are you'll like this one too. Memorable lines, catchy riffs, just really good overall tunes. Next, I have Disgust by Kidnapped. Speaking of angry, this thing is fucking furious. It's some of my favorite grindcore and power violence of the year. It stays great from front to back. It really never loses its steam. It's killer shit through and through. At 48, it's All of Heaven's Luck by Rejoice, yet another hardcore album. This came out in early January of 2024, but it has pretty much stayed in my rotation pretty heavily since then, so for that fact alone, it deserves to be on this list. This is just a flat out fun, heavy hardcore listen. I really hope that we get some more Rejoice in the future. Then I have Escape Forever by Softkill, because it wouldn't be an end of the year list without having a Softkill album here. It's definitely one of their stranger LPs, but it's still a solid release nonetheless. I didn't love every song on here, but the ones that did stick got played a ton. Softkill is always good for some invigorating post-punk and dark wave tunes, so if you're into that kind of stuff, check this one out. At 46, I have You Could Do It Tonight by Couch Slut. Simply put, this record is fucking terrifying. I know that Chat Pile is getting all of the love in this particular scene right now, but I really do think that Couch Slut deserves more recognition. The Donkey is one of the most horrifying songs that I heard this year. This shit stays living in my nightmares. This is some ultra killer noise rock and horrorcore. Next up, I have Chameleon by Trauma Ray. This is an outstanding debut shoegaze album. I must have played it back to back when it first dropped. It features some lovely tones and riffs. It's so easy to get lost in the guitars and feedback. If you fancy yourself some shoegaze, this is one for you. At number 44, it is the self-titled release by Mexican Coke. I've been looking forward to this ever since they did that split with Earn last year, and I must say, this lives up to the hype with some blistering hardcore. They also make nice use of some old school country samples throughout too. It's a short but very complete project. It's all killer, no filler. Then I've got What's Left Unsaid by Foreign Hands. I'm not too sure how many people are going to agree with me on this one, but I do think that this was a great year for metalcore, with What's Left Unsaid being one of the best. It's got sick breakdowns, memorable riffs, and a nice mix of melodic and aggressive vocals. It leaves a scorching mark, and you'll be begging to return to it again. Next, it's Art History by Perennial, who are sneakily one of the best bands out there right now. It features synthy post-punk that is deeply rooted in 60s pop rock. It's such a unique and weird sound, but goddamn do they make it work. It's thoroughly one of the most fun albums of the year. It's worth every second. After that, I have Social Grace by Brat. This is some utterly brutal grindcore that will step on your throat from start till stop. Everyone wants to talk about the other Brat from this year, but this should be added to the conversation as well. It's lightning fast hardcore that's sole purpose is to destroy you. You gotta love it. I've yet to see them live, but every video that I've seen of their shows looks fucking insane. Getting into the 40s, I have The Legend of ABM by Angry Blackmen. I've been following this group since their debut single years ago, and this is without a doubt my favorite release by them. The beats are solid as hell, the flows are tight and precise, and the lyrics are their best yet. I came back to this one time and time again throughout the year. I highly recommend checking this duo out. Next up, I have Freedom Sweet Freedom by Regional Justice Center. I gotta admit, this new RJC lineup works out really well. It's really cool to see the dude who inspired this band in the first place end up being their lead singer. Now listen, Ian Shelton did a great job talking about prison abolition in their previous projects, there's no denying that. But now that his formerly incarcerated brother has taken over as the frontman, it's cool to see a different angle on things. But as a whole project, the production on this one is massive, it fucking rips. Just some more power violence that you should be checking out. Taking the 38 spot, it's GNX by Kendrick Lamar. You gotta love a good surprise Kendrick release, and this is probably my favorite album that he's had since To Pimp a Butterfly. I thought the beats were awesome, and Kendrick's lyrics are as poignant and sharp as ever. When I was first listening to this, as soon as I got to Reincarnated, I knew this record was going to be special. 2024 really was the year of Kendrick Lamar, and I'm happy to be alive to witness it. Next, I have Watch Me Drive Them Dogs Wild by Merce Lemon. This is an outstanding singer-songwriter LP that is a force to be reckoned with. It features features a beautiful country twang and ultra powerful lyrics and delivery. The lyrics in particular are devastatingly gorgeous. There are so many quotable moments from this LP. I'll admit that I kind of found this later in the year than I would have wanted to, but it continues to grow on me with each passing listen. Then I have this new Godspeed You Black Emperor record, no title as of 13 February 2024, 28,340 dead. I don't really know what to say about this one. It's haunting, it's beautiful. It feels pretty weird ranking it considering what this album represents, but yeah, I loved it. I knew it had to be on this list. All that I can really say is free Palestine, end the genocide, and bring justice to anyone who aided and abetted in this ongoing atrocity. And if you don't agree with me, go fuck yourself. Then at 35, I have Coup de Grace by See You Space Cowboy. This is blistering metalcore with an abundance of swagger and attitude. It's got crazy breakdowns, the instrumental performances are out of this world, there is never a dull moment, it is creative, pulsating, and fun as all hell. And that's not even mentioning Connie Scarbosa's vocals, they're at the top of their game, she absolutely demolishes this shit. Coming in at 34, it is Imaginal Disc by Magdalena Bay. Hands down, this is one of my favorite pop albums of the decade, let alone the year. I do think some of the songs are a little frivolous, but overall it is a super enjoyable listen. It's got some amazing beats, the vocals are on point, and it features some really nice lyrics as well. Next, I've got Every Burning Bridge by Nails. What else can I say? It's fucking Nails. There are very few bands out there that throw as many punches and hit as hard as they do with all of them than Nails, and Every Burning Bridge is another welcomed installment into their discography. There are chunky riffs to bludgeon people with hammers to soulless evil vocals. This LP is super complete too, it never lets you rest for a second. Coming in at 32, it's Across the Tracks by Boldy, James, and Conductor Williams. This might be my favorite Boldy James album since The Price of Tea in China. The Conductor's beats are mesmerizing and infectious, fitting perfectly beneath Boldy's apathetic delivery. I also think that this has some of his most quotable moments throughout the past few years as well. I love this quite a lot. Boldy James is a machine and he doesn't miss. Next up, it's Do You Still Love Me by Planes Mistaken for Stars. I had a lot of hype for this one going into the year and it still lived up to my expectations. It's got devastating, haunting lyrics while Garrett O'Donnell's vocals are as grizzled and hardened as ever. It is very tight and dense instrumental performances, almost like Blackmen post-hardcore. Obviously, it still really sucks that Garrett has passed on, but I do think that this is a proper send-off for one of the best to ever do it. Getting into the top 30, I have this self-titled album by Flesh Tape. This definitely came out of nowhere for me, but it ended up being one of my favorite shoegaze albums of the year. It features nice DIY tones underneath the downtrodden slacker vocals and lyrics. It's not the most flashy project in this soundscape, but it is one that I came back to time and time again. I am very interested to hear where this band goes next, so I really hope this project gets some love. At 29, we have this self-titled Foxing album. This is an absurdly eclectic but complete LP. It is a little long for me, but when it hits on all fronts. It never stays in one sonic landscape for too long, pushing the band to try new things around every corner. And despite these challenges, it's still stupidly consistent. I don't think the band drops the ball for even a second. I feel like there's gotta be a song on here for everyone, so don't be afraid and go check it out. Then at number 28, it's Only One Mode by Speed. Hardcore has seen some really cool bands rise up throughout the past couple of years, but Speed has gotta be one of the most interesting. There's no holding back, heavy hard cuts fly by you in a fury of punches. It features infectious, intriguing sounds that even bust out a flute solo from time to time, which is objectively badass. I love seeing this band succeed, they all seem like really nice people, and I hope they keep at it for years to come. Then at 27, it's Dark Times by Vince Staples. In my opinion, this is one of the most appropriate album titles of the year. Vince lays out some contemplative, moody lyrics that are beautifully written. I've been a big fan of his for years now, but this has gotta be one of my favorites. His storytelling is at an all-time high, he's as witty as ever. Yeah, this thing is awesome. Moving into 26, it's Deep Sage by Gouge. After many years of being away, Gouge comes back like they never left. It's a wonderfully eclectic mix of songs that still very much feel and sound like Gouge. You got hardcore bangers and post-hardcore odysseys mixed in with some other interesting choices as well. I love Christina's songwriting on Deep Sage. It sounds like she's at her most vulnerable to date. It's a super dense LP. There are just too many good songs to choose from. Then we've got Undersound by Prize Horse, which is an album that clung to me no matter what happened this year. I feel like I can safely say that this is a no-doubter for any shoegaze fan out there. It's got riffs and tones galore on top of the easy-to-digest song constructions. It sounds drowsy, but it's not so drowsy that it lulls you to sleep. There are plenty of high points and quotable lines. Undersound can be a very addictive listen. Pink Balloons by Ekko Astral is gonna take the 24 spot. This is one of those albums that grew on me so much throughout the year. I love the soundscape, it's got great mixing, tones, and textures. Sonically, it bounces all over the place, but it never loses its core identity. This features countless fun, high-octane tunes that will get the blood pumping. This is another one of those bands that I cannot wait to hear what they do next. Then I've got I Lay My Life Down For You by JPEG Mafia. I'm still dead convinced that he is never going to make a bad album. album. I wasn't super crazy about his last solo projects, but this one right here, this is something special. I adore the hard rock focused instrumentals. It felt like I was listening to a punk LP the whole time. This is, without a doubt, one of his very best, and I do secretly hope that he continues in this soundscape again. Coming in at number 22, it's I Got Heaven by Manic and Pussy. Simply put, I really love this project from front to back. This is the most diverse and complete Manic and Pussy record to date. I Got Heaven is still one of my absolute favorite songs from this decade. It 100% should have been in this year's list, but I already used it last year as a single, so I kind of felt weird doing it again. We get some really emotional cuts mixed in with blasts like Loud Bark and Okay Okay Okay. I saw them live earlier this year. It was an amazing show, so please make sure that you go see Manic and Pussy live at some point. Calming things down a bit at 21, it's Dulling the Horns by Wild Pink. This has some exceptionally witty writing that turn into earworms almost instantly. As you probably already know, I'm a huge David Berman fan, and I get so many similar vibes with the lyrics and other idiosyncrasies within the music. It's got warm vocals and lovely instrumental pieces. The songwriting here is stupidly good. I'm personally still dipping my toes into Wild Pink's discography, but from what I can tell, this is a great place to start. Thrashing into the top 20, it is Manual Manic Procedure by 200 Stab Wounds. Goddamn, this thing is fucking disgusting. Just one of the nastiest, ugliest albums of the year, and I'm all here for it. The drums are out of this world, the guitars are on overdrive, and the vocals are murderous. And that includes all the guest vocals as well. They're fucking killer. I don't really care if it's a basic thing to say. 200 Stab Wounds is one of my favorite death metal bands out there, and this is the exact reason why. Next up, I have All You Embrace by One Step Closer. When they initially dropped the first two singles for this record, I knew I was going to love it. It is definitely a different venture in comparison to This Place You Know, but the sonic growth here is great. It's less hardcore and more melodic, but it still works really well. It has a bunch of heart-pumping cuts along with some touching ones mixed in there as well. All You Embrace is very accessible too, so give this one a shot. Coming in at number 18, it's Hey I Loathe You by Hey I Love You. I've said it a few times in this video so far, but this definitely was one of my most highly anticipated albums coming out this year. And once again, this totally lives up to the hype. Hey I Loathe You sounds insane. There are so many conflicting sonic ideas that somehow come together to form coherent and striking songs. It's catchy and cathartic emo punk and pop with so many twists and turns. In my opinion, you cannot go wrong with this one. Next up, it's Life on the Lawn by A Country Western. I'm still kind of surprised that I like this album as much as I did, but man, this is some outrageously good shoegaze. It features great riffs and licks, lovely vocals and lyrical pieces. This thing has it all. I went from liking A Country Western to now considering them to be one of the best shoegaze bands out there right now. So much so that I actually have a finished script where they're the subject to an episode of So You're Interested In that I never really got around to recording. I hope I can eventually get around to making that video because this band deserves so much more recognition than what they currently have. Next, at number 16, it's Artillery from Heaven by Contention. Without a doubt, this is one of the year's best hardcore releases. It's got blistering, unrelenting percussion, absolutely electric vocal yelps, and riffs upon riffs. There are some really good features on here from Broken Vow, Inclination, and Domain that helps fill out this entire project. Featuring aggressively anti-war lyrics galore, it's written with a lot of vivid detail, and it's not for the faint of heart. Artillery from Heaven is just hard as hell. I love everything about this LP. Another standout from 2024 is Box for Buddy, Box for Star by This Is Lorelei. This was simply one of those albums that I could not put down throughout the year. It's an eclectic mix of tunes, ranging from folksy, country stuff to poppier dance music. There's really never a dull moment here. It's just such a pleasant listen. The lyrics stick to you like glue. It's catchy all over the place. I could literally toss this on for any occasion, and I did just that. I already have a feeling that I'm underrating this record, so I'm curious to see how I feel about it in the years to come. Then, at number 14, it's Cool World by Chat Pile. They truly are one of the best bands around. This is a punishing, heavy LP that has their signature brand of manic, outlandish lyrics plastered everywhere. Surprisingly, it has some catchy tunes, along with their more art-focused pieces. I love the tones and the wonderfully chunky riffs that are ever present. This is yet another welcomed addition to their stellar discography. Next, at number 13, it is Diamond Jubilee by Cindy Lee. I mean, come on, what else can I possibly say about this project that hasn't been said already? It's a feat of music itself, towering with 2 hours of irrefutably incredible guitar noodling. This deserves all of the praise that it has already received and so much more. I am patiently awaiting for my copy to arrive on vinyl because I cannot wait to hear what this sounds like on wax. Then, taking the 12th spot, we've got It's Inside You by Candy. This is the year to be a fan of Candy. Between this and the Flipping EP, we have been truly blessed. The use of electronic music throughout It's Inside You can be baffling at times, but it works so damn well. I mean, some of the best songs on here are basically dance tracks with a bit of a hardcore lens on top of it. It's a ripper, killing everything in its path, and these tracks get stuck in my head all the goddamn time. And that's not even mentioning the great features on here too. Yeah, this project's incredible. Next, at number 11, it's You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To by Knocked Loose. I don't think I have to argue with anyone when I say that this is the biggest aggressive record of the year. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, but man, this thing over-delivered. This thing hits so fucking hard. I adored the vocals and percussion so damn much, and the riffs are right there too. You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To is a monumental piece of hardcore and metalcore history. I think it's undeniable to say that this is an instant classic. Thank God we have made it to the top 10, and coming at that number 10 spot is Spiral in a Straight Line by Touche Amore. This shouldn't be a surprise. I am a massive Touche Amore fan. I'm quite literally wearing their necklace right now. But even then, I'll admit, on a first listen, I was not in love with this record. It took me a little while to really get it. But since then, it has obviously grown on me enough to take the number 10 spot. Jeremy is as truthful as ever, delivering blow after blow, talking about a failed relationship. The instrumentals are certainly different than past projects, leaning more into an indie soundscape, but they still somehow found a way to balance their hardcore, post-hardcore, and indie sounds with ease. They also slip in some great features too by Julian Baker and Lou Barlow. It's not my favorite Touche release, but damn, it still hits home. Then at number 9, it is Romance by Fontaines DC. The Dublin Boys do it once again. This is an outstanding selection of songs that really runs the gamut in terms of their sonic landscape. I must have played this like 4 or 5 times the day that it dropped, which is simply unheard of for me. They have yet to miss. They are one of the best in the game. It is time to give those Irish lads their flowers. My not so hot prediction is that they will be one of the biggest rock bands in the world soon, if they aren't already. Next up, at number 8, it's My Life in Subtitles by Carpool. I can't really explain it, but I've been coming back to this one again and again. Carpool utilizes a bunch of different styles here, making it a diverse listen all the way through. There are some absolute bangers here that I feel are really overlooked, including Can We Just Get High, Kid Icarus, I Hate Music, and Car. My Life in Subtitles is truly a great emo record that dips its toes into hardcore, post-hardcore, indie, and so much more. It's also stupidly accessible. I just know you'll find a song on here that you love. Then at number 7, it's Tiger's Blood by Waxahachie. I know I'm probably in the minority here, but I was not crazy about St. Cloud when that dropped a couple years ago, but I can say with full confidence that Tiger's Blood is beyond great. It's up there as one of my most listened to albums of the year, and for damn good reason. Each song is crafted with so much love and care. It is abundantly clear that Katie Crutchfield takes her shit seriously. This was the year that I found myself gravitating towards this particular sound, and I feel like Waxahachie is the reason for that. I know I already named Right Back to It as my favorite song of 2024, but honestly, Three Sisters and Crowbar were right up there too. There's not a bad song on here. I adore Tiger's Blood, and I can't wait to see what Waxahachie does next. Coming in at number 6, it is Stay Golden by Combat. Listen, I don't like pop punk that much, but this is being labeled as post-emo, and I'm all here for that. It is simply unfair how catchy this album is. These songs just get stuck in a loop in my head all fucking day. I almost have to force myself to stop listening to this so I can focus on other projects. It's a sugar rush of energy, which is something I should have seen coming considering I saw a video of them shotgunning Red Bulls before running out and performing at Coachella. To be honest, that is what turned me onto this band in the first place. That was awesome. If you have yet to listen to Combat, you need to change that shit right now because I'm telling you, this band is gonna blow up. Now we venture into the top 5, starting off with Brat by Charli XCX. I mean, come on, what else do you want me to say? This is stupidly good from beginning to end. It's as thorough as can be. I will never forget where I was when I first heard this album. My friend was hosting a housewarming party for his new apartment and he wanted to make it Brat themed, and he was smart and pre-ordered the record, but unfortunately it did not come in time, so I had to rush to the record store, grab a copy for myself, and bring it. Mind you, I had not heard it yet. I did not stream it before the party, and I gotta admit, I was a little hesitant because I didn't love Crash, but hey, you gotta be a good friend sometimes. So I heard Brat for the first time in a crowded Philly apartment with all of my friends, and it was an immaculate experience. I was hooked instantly, and I was so happy that I had a copy to bring home with me when the night was over. But back to the record itself, every song here is a certified banger, but you don't need me to tell you that. You either already know, or you just don't like it, and that's fine too. This LP is awesome, and you know what, I'd like to say that my friend did a Brat themed party before it was even cool. Then at number 4, I have Plastic Death by Glass Beach. I have to admit, I'm still surprised that I like this album as much as I do. Admittedly, I am not a huge fan of the first Glass Beach album, but this one, goddamn, this one's right up my alley. Between the uber catchy emo hits lie emotionally complex and thoughtful tunes that will keep you engaged with wicked song construction. I already brought this up in my favorite tracks video, but I did initially see a bunch of people complaining about the vocals on this album, and right now I would just like to give a hearty forever spinning fuck you to those people. This album is amazing all the way through, and I'm known as an anti-long album guy, but still, I couldn't get enough of this. Plastic Death was undoubtedly one of my most listened to albums of the year, and for good reason. Getting into the top 3, I have Obsidian Wreath by Infant Island. Without a shadow of a doubt, this was my favorite aggressive release of 2024. These songs are fucking ruthless, pounded out with a ferocity that I'm still reeling from. All of the tracks are complex and performed perfectly. Vocally, Daniel Koss demolishes every line and every scream. I really thought that my love for Obsidian Wreath would wane throughout the year, but much like the Glass Beach album, this thing persisted. If you want to hear some devastating screamo, power violence, post-hardcore onslaughts, then you must hear this LP. And that is going to bring us to my two favorite albums of the year. Out of all of the years that I've been making these videos, this is probably the toughest decision that I've had to make. Like seriously, I debated for weeks upon end of what I was going to exactly do here. But still, a decision had to be and was made. So coming in at number 2, I have Manning Fireworks by MJ Lenderman. I already touched on this when I talked about On My Knees from my favorite tracks of the year, but yeah, this album came at the perfect time for me. At the time of this album's release, I was going through a failed relationship, if you even want to call it that, so yeah, this hit super hard for me. Manning Fireworks ran me over like an emotional freight train, and it still continues to do that today. Forget being an outstanding record for how it sounds and flows, this thing is incredible if you are suffering from a broken heart. It's one of my favorites because I resonated with almost each and every one of the lyrics that came from Jake's mouth. It's as witty as it is heart-wrenching, it's as smart as it is incredibly stupid. It's simply brilliant, and I don't know how I would have made it throughout the past couple of months without it. Long live Manning Fireworks. And that, folks, is going to bring us to my favorite album of 2024. And that, of course, is going to have to be Paul Bunyan's Slingshot by Liquid Mike. Let's do a little set change here. Not only is this my favorite record of the year, it's one of the most fun albums I've ever heard. From the instant I hit play, I was bouncing off of the walls to the catchy riffs and ever-quotable lyrics. I could describe this by calling it garage rock, or alt-rock, or indie rock, or a litany of other things, but none of them would truly define what this record is. In my opinion, the best way to convey what this record sounds like is by posing the question, what if the Blue album by Weezer was written by Rivers Cuomo, but he lived in Marquette, Michigan, and was a mailman? Is it convoluted? Absolutely. But does it make sense? You fucking bet. In a year full of sadness and turmoil for me, Liquid Mike was my breath of fresh air. It was my daily reminder that things always suck, but you can try your best to make each shitty thing memorable in their own quirky ways. And yeah, that is it. Those were my 50 favorite albums of 2024. Thank you so much if you watched the entirety of this video. I really appreciate it. Links to all of the albums discussed here will be located in the video description box below. And before I forget, I'd like to ask you, what were your favorite albums of the year? You can go ahead and let me know in the comments below. But yeah, that's it. I don't feel like going through my usual spiels at the end because I have been recording for over 3 hours now. I'd appreciate if you subscribe and join the official Forever Spinning Discord server and all that jazz, but you know that already. I do want to close by saying that one of the few things that didn't suck about 2024 was the Forever Spinning channel. So thank you to anybody who watched or commented or interacted at all. It really does mean the world to me. Before I get too emotional, let's wrap this up with my usual reminder for you to go out and support your local record store if you are able to, along with the local artists in your area. And well, till I see you next time, next year, happy listening.